And we're back again with another episode of Under the Vinyl. As always, I got my co-host Kyle. Kyle, how you doing?
I'm good, Nate. How are you? Nice to see you.
Good, buddy. It's getting cold. It's continuing to drop here in Chattanooga, and
Yeah,
we're
it kind of
trying to
sucks.
trying to figure out the winter projects.
Yeah, the weather definitely took a turn this weekend for us, so we're down 20s at night, 30s during the day. It is not that enjoyable to be putting up tents anymore.
Yeah, I think we're high 40s during the day, and then lows in the 30s. So yeah, it's been good to be in the warehouse or in the office. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, you
I
you
saw
called
that.
me this morning, like you were my mother, making sure I didn't forget about this, Nate. You want to talk about
Hey,
that?
I jumped on the Instagram this morning and saw that you were out with a 25 meter, and I just wanted to make sure that you didn't decide to go play CDL driver today.
I drove my car. I let a new guy who just got a CDL drive the semi for the first time. So look at that, big strides, big strides.
Well, with that kind of jumps us into our guest today. Our guest today is somebody from the freight industry that I've been good friends with over the past couple of years while I've been at Chattanooga Tent, and figured it would be a good time to kind of bring him on as freight gets up and down all the time, and we're trying to figure out in our industry on how to price and what we do in that, and just how we can account for freight and what they go through on their end, that we can kind of bring some knowledge to our industry. So today we got Austin Stanley on. He's an independent broker from One Horn Transportation. And Austin, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely, glad to bring you on finally. We've been chatting with some different topics, and freight is a huge topic in our industry, and I figured you can definitely bring us some knowledge.
Sounds good.
So if you could tell us a little bit for the people that don't know you or exactly what you do, if you give us a little rundown on kind of how you got into the freight industry, and what your current day-to-day is.
Okay. When I graduated in 2009 from University of Tennessee, Knoxville, uh, it was during like an economic downturn. I actually have a marketing degree, but the only place I could find that I could get a job was with One Horn Transportation, which is a worldwide, I think, a $12 billion company. Um, so I took that position in logistics without that ever being the plan, honestly. Um, and it was a great experience though, because as soon as I got comfortable, like perhaps brokering freight, then they would put me in outside sales, or when I was getting better at that, they'd put me in account management. Um, but I did everything from flatbed, drive in to drayage. Um, and then after I felt like I had good experience there, I took a managerial position at a local brokerage called Lipsy Logistics. And there I worked with Procter & Gamble, and then I managed the Northeast freight for Home Depot, which was definitely a challenge during the winter months, and it's all drop trailer, so
Absolutely.
72-hour drops, and then go back and retrieve a trailer. But after I felt like I had enough knowledge, I wanted to go out on my own and get my own customers. And the second customer that I called was Michael Holland at Chattanooga Tent, and said, "Hey, buddy, I got my own gig. I'm starting. Would you let me haul your freight?" And he said, "Sure." So that's kind of how I was introduced to the tent and event world via logistics, and that was a great experience for me. Learning, Mike's a pioneer of the industry, and truly they've been family friends for 20 plus years, and I was completely unaware of how big they were in the industry until I started moving freight down for the Super Bowls for them, and I was like, wow, they're obviously a big player in the game. And then through that, I got referrals, started working with Taryn at Peak Event and Lindsay McClure, and then I got a call from one of the Hensley brothers and started doing the freight for Skyline Tent, and others like Rob at 24/7 and Charlie at Curated. And so, it's really just snowballed ever since I started doing freight with Chattanooga Tent.
Yeah. Kind of what you take us through, like on a day in the life of a freight broker, what that looks like.
Okay, well, typically,
Is there a
plan
normal
for
day to day?
typically I'm always working kind of a day ahead, because, like, for example, yesterday afternoon, I'm looking at what I have to pick up like this morning, and I'm gonna go ahead and assign trucks for the loads the next day. And then in the morning time, get up 2 or 3 hours before the pickups, make sure everybody's on schedule. If it's a really high priority load, then I am going to put them on something called Macro Point, which basically sends the drivers a GPS link, and so I have access to their coordinates. And if I see that they're sitting and not moving, I can kind of get ahead of it, and if they are broken down, perhaps repower it, get interchange agreements, and make sure that it still delivers when it's supposed to.
Got it. So what are you probably don't have the most normal hours. So what kind of hours are you working from? I know the other day we were talking, you said you were doing some stuff for, in the wintertime now they got UPS going crazy and everything. Do you have to get up in the middle of the night and manage loads in the middle of the night? Are you looking for loads in the middle of the night? How does that kind of go?
Right after the tent season kind of winds down, UPS's peak season kicks off Black Friday after Thanksgiving. And so I work it for about 6 weeks until after all the returns are done. But yes, no, my hours are always differing. I may only have a couple things to do one day, and the next I may be working 24 hours. But that stuff is always high importance. You're always tracking, make sure everything's on time, giving updates to the customer, because obviously communication is integral in this industry. But every day is different, to be honest with you. But yeah, there's times where I'm up all through the night, making sure that everything's on schedule.
This episode of Under the Vinyl is brought to you by Anchor Industries, a fifth-generation, family-owned American manufacturer of tents and clear span structures. Anchor has spent decades engineering products that last season after season, and they're more than just your supplier. They're a partner committed to helping grow your business. And right now, Anchor's winter discount is live. Get 15% off frame, fabric, and accessories for your tents and clear spans now through January 26th. Make sure you let them know Kyle and Nate sent you. Contact your sales rep today. Call 800-544-4445 or visit anchorinc.com to learn more.
All right, so up all night, checking things, checking loads. So then just during the day, you're kind of just making sure that everybody's in the right places at the right point in times, and really just kind of making sure flow is consistent, right?
Correct. Yes. Once I know that everything that I have drivers on and they're on schedule, then I would go on the bid board and look for some other stuff that may be a good fit for some of my carrier providers.
Are you working with individual drivers that you can call them, or you're working with the same group of drivers or companies?
Yeah, so I've kind of built up a carrier base over like the last 16 years. So whereas a lot of people in the industry, they may just post a load on a website and they're just going to maybe take the cheapest provider so they can make the most money on it. But I like sticking with the carriers that I've worked with and that I know are going to do a good job and that are going to be available when I need them. So I do try to stick with those. If it's like a last second thing that's in some obscure region, then sometimes I have to do that. But you can go on to carriers like Safer or Carrier 411 and you can look up their whole history and inspections and things like that to make sure that you're not getting yourself into a pickle before it even starts.
Are there ways to blacklist drivers if they do a bad job for you, or if they don't deliver when they say they would, or they drop a load midway through, decide they're not going to finish, things like that?
Yeah, I mean, internally, I definitely block any carrier that fails to communicate or disregards any instructions that are given to them. And you can put them on like we talked earlier about a freight guard to where they're no longer able to haul freight for you in general. So I've got a long list of those as well. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. And so with doing things like UPS and things like that, I know you guys basically will touch every industry at some point. But how does the event and tent industry compare to the other sectors that you tend to work with?
Well, I think it's more about understanding the customer more so with like in the tent industry, understanding that trucks may be coming in succession, and if the first one that's scheduled is late, then they're going to have a crew of people just sitting around waiting for the first one, but the other 3 show up and it's kind of a waste of the day. So I think it's more of just planning and really understanding the operations and what needs to happen. Some other freight that I do is pretty straightforward. There's not really a whole lot of planning that has to go into it. Just pick it up at this time and deliver it then. But I think more so the planning aspect comes into and understanding what needs to happen.
Yeah.
So the communication aspect is really, is what you're looking for. And so what do you need from clients like us to keep that running smoothly?
Just a clear picture of the freight that I'm going to be hauling, the weight. And then from that point, usually I like to figure out exactly what I'm going to send in for what you've got. A lot of customers may even, request 53-foot step decks, but they may only need a 40-foot hot shot. And I'm definitely not like the cheapest when it comes to pricing, but I do everything I possibly can to save them money via other options.
And when you're booking those loads then, are you working directly with the operations manager, sales reps, or warehouse? And who do you prefer to work with?
When I'm finding the trucks, usually I just speak with the dispatchers.
Okay.
And but it's typically carriers that I've worked with plenty of times in the past, and I just kind of give them a general synopsis of what needs to happen and make sure that they can perform.
And same thing with on the other side with we have different people within our company or within other companies that have somebody who's assigned to the freight that works directly with you. Who do you typically work with at the rental companies?
Well, typically the shipping managers and then whoever's on site to do the builds.
Okay.
Like for Chattanooga 10, it would have been Logan, and then on the shipping end, and then Mincer was typically on site for the builds.
With the occasional Nate trying to figure out where his truck was because he was anal about making sure it was there on time.
Yeah, that's okay though.
Nate being anal? That's shocking.
I know, right? I know. What kind of makes the event and tent rental world unique from a logistics standpoint? Is there an aspect of a certain truck set you feel like that are needed, or certain timelines, or does it feel like it's kind of the norm is what you do with every other company?
Well, no, I mean, first of all, I think it's more rewarding to work with companies within the industry, tent and event industry, because transportation can become mundane at some time, and whenever you see the big picture, when it's all said and done, and you get the trucks in there on time, and the build goes well, and you see the aftermath of what was actually put together, it's really rewarding. That's really the thing that I like the most about it. But I'm trying to think. What was your other question?
Just on how from a unique logistics standpoint, like how the event and tent world are unique from a logistics standpoint based on any than another company.
Where we make the drivers go, usually, probably. That's
What do you think about that for a second?
The
we're not
loading
delivering to
spots.
an Amazon warehouse or like. That's what I always feel bad. These drivers pull up and I'm like, yeah, you got to back down this road half a mile. What? I don't know how to put it in reverse.
Okay, yeah, that's actually what I was going to say. Is a lot of the job sites themselves, whether it's at a country club or it's on the side of a mountain looking over the Snake River in Jackson, Wyoming.
That was
which
me.
I've done before. Or
Yeah.
Getting a ferry over to Nantucket to get product. It's just always different. So coming up with I usually just draw a map for the drivers of the proper way to get in. If there's a certain gate code or restrictions on the hours if you're going through a neighborhood, but I think it just kind of keeps you on your toes. But it's something that it's a challenge, but I like it.
Do you feel like there's common mistakes that event companies make when booking freight with you at all?
Mistakes as in how?
Is there any communication errors, or do you feel like there's anything just in general that you feel like event companies could do better with booking freight or need to know about booking freight that will help make it smoother?
I think just really doing your best to get ahead of it. The more lead time that I have, the more safe I'm going to feel about executing the job. But I think it's just lead time and giving me proper information. Pick up, delivery addresses, any other circumstances that are unique. and just so that I can inform my drivers before they take off to do the load, just to make sure that they're aware of every circumstance that is required.
What's the ideal lead time on something like that? Because I know that, for us, like we're booking freight out or quoting freight that's like a year in advance. It could be 6 months in advance, and prices change and fluctuate. And I know you were always good about kind of telling us, hey, it could be here at this point, so quote a little bit higher. So what's kind of an ideal lead time, do you think, to kind of be realistic?
Honestly, a day and a half is plenty. Same day can be difficult, but a day and a half is plenty for me. But when it comes to, I think the most important thing when it comes down to bidding, because a lot of times, obviously, you guys have a ton of planning that goes into your job. So having somebody that understands the market, because let's say it's the end of December, but you need a job quoted that's going to be in March or April. Understanding what the market's going to be like for the equipment that's needed at that time of the year, so that you can give the most accurate price and hopefully give you the best chance at getting the job.
Now, say a company wanted to use you locally. Is that like an option for, say, a smaller company who's not traveling as much, like Chattanooga?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So Nate, I talked to a bunch of smaller guys around me, and I've turned them on to, if you got a job with a bunch of weights, you need to move 40,000 pounds, you might as well just hire a truck. It's much easier doing one load versus, 4, 5, 6 flatbed loads of your own trucks, and you get everything there 4 times as fast, typically.
Yeah.
Well, if it's something like, if it's local, and it's like block moves and stuff, I like to suggest getting like 2 drivers staggered, and by the time the first one gets there, it is unloaded. The second truck in line is going to be showing up, so it's like you can kind of just go back and forth that way and just do like a relay. And a lot of drivers, if it's a short move, they basically get day rates.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's what my next question was.
You kind of work them for the full day and not pay like individual trucks to go one way.
Yep.
So you're able to kind of determine that on whether you can find somebody that's more of a day rate versus like a per load rate?
Oh, yeah, I can do it either way.
Okay.
How does pricing work in the industry? Yeah, obviously you don't have to give exact numbers, but what is typically how the pricing works?
Well,
Are you setting the price? You say, this is what I want to pay you for the load? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna first off, when I figure out what it is I'm trying to get trucks for, I'm gonna reach out to my carrier partners and get a general consensus of what it's gonna cost me to move that load for you, and then I have a myriad of other tools that I use that is gonna give me, so I can lock in. Pretty much, I know what I'm gonna pay to do it, and at that point, I just charge a flat percentage on top of whatever I pay.
Yeah. What outside factors affect pricing? So what causes the market to be changing?
It just depends on what city it's picking and delivering to. Like if there's a lot of freight moving out of a certain metro area, then people want to get there. So if you've got a delivery going to an area like that, it's going to be cheap because they'll make their money coming back out of that city. Or it could be the opposite, to where they're going somewhere like Phoenix or something, and they're not going to be able to get anything out of there, so they're going to charge you for that head haul, as they say.
And why is that? Because I know some freight lanes, like when we did stuff up out west, up north though, like the Northwest, I feel like it's really hard up there. Or like you're saying now, Phoenix, like why is that so hard to get freight in and out of there?
Well, there's just not a whole lot. There aren't as many transportation providers based out of those areas because there isn't a lot of opportunity in that area itself, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to create a bunch of trucking companies in a city where they're all competing over the same stuff. So you kind of want to be headquartered somewhere that has a lot of freight from where you live.
Yeah. And how have you seen the freight market change over your 16, 17 years you've been doing this? Pricing wise, just in general.
So the last couple of years, to me, it seems like it's been like the wild, wild west. Like that we've had after COVID, we had so many new entries into the industry. So many new carriers were getting set up, which is why they just put they're changing the MC numbers over to DOTs, because companies that were getting that had bad carrier ratings were basically shutting down and opening up shell companies and then just going and doing the same thing. So it didn't used to be that way, honestly. So I'd say the main difference is a flood of new entries, but less quality carriers.
Yeah. I've definitely seen the quality of driver has dropped significantly. I've had guys pull up to job sites and they can't back up, which is the craziest thing to me.
Or you can't talk to them because they don't speak
that.
English, which is really tough because I don't know how you get a CDL if you can't speak English.
We're not going to get into the politics of that, but
I mean that's just been a whole thing.
Well, there's a mandate on that now to where you if they get pulled over, then they have to be able to perform a verbal test.
Well, and I say that because yesterday, I live out in Lookout Valley area, and so trying to get downtown, there's either you go over the mountain or you go down 24. Well, there's a big accident on 24 yesterday, so you got everybody that routed off of 24 and went to come over the mountain. Well, then, coming into St. Elmo, Austin, you have that bridge that you can't go underneath. And so, sure as hell, it says 13 foot on the sign, and the truck tries to drive under it and gets stuck yesterday. So it's pouring down rain, traffic's backed up. I walk down there. I go to try and get the guy to back up and show him what to do. He can't speak English. And so I'm trying to go like this to get him down the road, and I was just thinking to myself, like, how did he get a CDL? And it just feels like there's a lot more of that, and then a lot more companies that have come out of the woodworks. And I know Chattanooga is a big hub for logistics and freight, but so I see more of it, but I feel like as a whole the freight industry has just boomed and grown, and I don't know if it's starting to level out now from your eyes, but it feels like it is. And then, like what you're saying, some of these companies are maybe going to start to disappear after they had their big boom in COVID.
Yeah, I think also at the beginning of the year when a lot of these renewals for insurance premiums hit, you're going to see a ton of new entries drop off the map. So I think that should increase the quality of overall capacity.
Has pricing dropped in the last 5 years, or is it rising?
It should. I think it is kind of weird that it hasn't dropped as much as you would think with the amount of trucking companies out there.
Yeah.
But I think just with overall cost of living and insurance premiums going up, I don't think that they can afford to
drop
pricing too much. They had to survive. So it's dropped a little, but not much. It definitely has since COVID, but it's not as much as I would expected it to.
For the bad freight brokers, or at least not good quality freight brokers, what would we look for red flags in that? And because I mean, there's so many of our companies out there and that don't know somebody that's in freight. Being in Chattanooga, like I said, it's easier to find somebody that's in freight, or be friends with somebody like you who's here. But how do these people go about finding somebody and and understanding that, hey, this is what you should probably look for in this type of person? Obviously, you want them all to come to you after listen to this podcast. But what would somebody look for the red flags, right?
I think the ones that don't ask questions. You ask them to do something, they say, all right, I'll take care of it. But they're not really asking questions. Sometimes I feel like the gnat like at a barbecue, because I'm constantly asking so many questions about what it is that you've got to put on the truck, when it needs to be there, and all the requirements. Because if you don't have that, then you can't inform the driver of what their job is going to require, and it's just not going to work out. But I think the ones that don't ask questions, or the ones that don't really do their due diligence on looking up the background of the carriers.
Yeah.
I mean, all that information is pretty public. You can go and look and see which carriers you can rely on that's been around for a while, and the ones that haven't. So,
if you picked up a load at my place today, and you obviously a driver, you hired the driver, and they total their truck and the trailer and everything's gone, who is responsible for that? How does that work?
If it's the driver's fault?
Yeah. Say the driver flips the truck, my stuff's ruined now, it was on his truck. Obviously, I've been dealing with you. Mm-hmm. So how does that go, liability-wise?
Well, whenever you get set up with a carrier, so if it was me doing it, I would have their insurance certificate and setup packet and everything, so it would be ultimately on the carrier's insurance provider to pay for everything. And if it was your equipment, then they'd also be liable for
Replacing all that as well.
replacing that. Yeah.
Okay. Because that's obviously a big concern of, you're sending this stuff down the road with other people.
Well, now if I didn't do my research and like let's say you had a freight that was worth $300,000,
Yeah.
and we're only covered up to $250,000, then my company would be liable for the additional $50,000.
Yep.
But
What's the what's kind of some of the wildest stuff you've had to move? Is there anything that sticks out to you that you feel like that you've had a phone call and been like, oh hell, this is going to be tough?
I think the job for Skyline on Nantucket was pretty crazy. Getting it to the Hyannis, Massachusetts, the Steamship Authority. First of all, there weren't any spaces available on the ferries, so we had to kind of work that out. But once they got over there, then they wanted to have shuttle drivers from the boneyard to the actual job site itself. So then we had to get lodging for drivers and convince them to stay on the island for a couple of days, toting stuff to and from the site, and then getting them back, having issues with that, getting them back across to Massachusetts was a lot. But there was another time, I think it was in Jackson, Wyoming, when it was a wedding, and it was right on the Snake River, but it was snowing, it was ice, it was a 2-lane road, and so I've got like 12 trucks going up this mountain, and I don't know if I think it was Jay, maybe that Hingley, that was meeting them at the base at their boneyard and then driving or leading them up the mountain, but they were slipping everywhere, and thankfully there was one driver who had done it for like 35 years, so I basically did an interchange agreement to where he popped in their truck and delivered all the loads for them. But that was dicey.
Guy.
And then I guess the only other scenario I can think of is the White House job last year for Taryn when she was at peak was I think the second trailer that we sent in to the South Lawn. They have bomb squad, sniffing dogs and everything, and the second truck was the plutonium was detected.
Oh no!
Luckily, I knew who the carrier was. They usually haul lumber. It happened to be a false alarm, thank God. But
whew.
I thought it was going to be a really long project, but it worked out okay.
Well, and stuff like that's. I just did a job at the vice president's house, and we had to half unload the truck because they wanted to look inside boxes after they did their sniff, and I'm like, this is miserable.
Yeah. I was like,
and I didn't charge enough for this.
Yeah, exactly. This is crazy.
Sitting here just thinking about the money going out the window on the timeline.
Wait, it took 4 hours to get through screening? Oh my God. Well, you feel bad for drivers. They're sitting there. How do you don't want to warn them, because then you do have to warn them, but.
You got to warn them, yeah.
Well, it depends. I mean, if you're going through somebody like Austin, like a freight broker, and you can say ahead of time with full confidence, hey, this is whose house you're going to, this is the situation. But if you're kind of going directly, then you're in trouble there, because then it's already like, oh, well, I got to go here. I don't want to do that, So you got to have somebody, I feel like, driving that bus and kind of kicking them in gear to get in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what you said is actually really relevant, because a lot of freight brokers may fudge it a little bit. Not say you're actually going to have to drop the trailer and wait 6 hours to get it back. And that's when the snowball effect starts happening.
Yeah.
Carriers get mad and leave or whatever. But you got to be completely honest with them, because you want to find a carrier that's willing to do it, because you never know what could happen.
Well, and you got to keep them in your back pocket, especially if they're good ones. I mean, if you're using the same consistent guys and you want to keep them in your back pocket and you want to keep them happy, so you want to give them the most information possible, you're probably also saying, hey, this is another load for them idiots over in the rental industry. Yeah, it's going to be crazy. Be ready for this one. This isn't the Amazon plant. I get it. I mean, I understand. I would too. But what's one of the biggest saves that you've had, or you've had to do something on short notice that's been kind of crazy?
Ooh, I'm going to have to think about that for a minute.
Have you ever had a load just go completely sideways?
figuratively and literally.
I don't really want this to be on the podcast. Yeah, one driver that drove off the side of a mountain in West Virginia. I don't know if you were there yet or not, but
I know what
yeah.
company that was
Oh,
for.
yeah.
I've heard that
I know
story.
all about that. Yep.
yeah, that was an absolute nightmare. But I don't want to mention that.
Yeah. No, we're good there.
I don't know if I have any good examples of when just going sideways. To be honest, I think
Is there anything protecting you? So obviously you hire a driver to go into Chattanooga. What's stopping him from saying, "Hey, Logan, here's my phone number. You don't have to call Austin anymore."
no, there isn't, and I have
Really?
lost customers that way. Yeah,
That's crazy.
so it could be like a carrier that I like really worked with a lot that is a good carrier, and there's could be so good that the customer may just want to keep them for themselves. So yeah, that happens. But no, I don't have any control of that.
I can't.
It's illegal. They're not supposed to do it, but no, there's nothing really holding back from it.
That's
Well, looking ahead, where do you kind of see the freight business going in the next 3 to 5 years? Do you see it continuing to boom?
Yeah, I think it will. I mean, I think that's definitely going to be heavier regulated. Like I mentioned before, I think the going to DOT numbers, wiping out all the repeat carriers. I think that service as a whole it should become better. But yeah, I do envision it booming for the next.
Do you think
couple
that there's any technology that's going to help drive that for long-term changes?
years. Well, I mean, with the now that the guys, the old cowboys can't use the paper logs, it's much more regulated.
Well, the old cowboys are still using the paper logs. It's the new guys can't use them.
Yeah. Well, no, they can't use them anymore.
If you're
Is
It
it
used to be a
is
truck
it
that
a
was
certain
1999 or older. They could use paper logs, but they've as of September that's out the door now.
Oh, they have to put
Oh,
ELDs
I didn't know
in?
that.
Oh.
They have to get like a sensor or something that hooks up to the engine that keeps track of their drive time and brakes and stuff.
I know a couple of them cowboys that used to run those routes that would take the back roads and 80-mile-an-hour wide open through the back roads, and you're just like, how the hell did you get here so quick? Well,
Yeah,
just
I mean,
missed
they're passing
missed
up
all
the
the
teams on
station.
the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, those 1999 Peterbilts were going up in value quickly
Yeah.
after the regulations that
they look
Just the
good, they
difference
sound
in
good.
an additional week per load, basically.
Well, with that, then, if you could redesign something in the industry that would help, is there something that you feel like would benefit?
And like, in what regard?
And whether it be technology or just, maybe training as a whole for everybody to kind of get everybody on the same page, reduce cost, or, whether that be in liability and things like that.
Well, as far as cost is concerned, I think the biggest problem is just having so many, like as a customer, having so many options for transportation, and then having brokers that are literally just choosing the cheapest. Like, I think that it's part of the problem. Is if I get a quote and I'm $400 too expensive for a load, and they give it to somebody else, but they may cancel that broker, but then there's going to be a million more down the road.
Right.
I think if there was more parity, and I don't know how you'd fix that issue though.
Are you able to see drivers on duty time and like when you go book a load with someone, are you able to see, okay, if I want them to pick up today, they only have 3 hours left to drive time, things like that?
Yeah, I always look at that. If it's like a 10 a.m. pickup and I'm talking about 6 p.m. They have 4 hours left, and then they take their 10 hour. They still have plenty of time. I'm always aware of their drive hours and if it's feasible or not. Even whether they say they can make it or not, I want to be the one that decides.
That determines that, yeah.
Yeah, that determines.
So then
that,
the
correct.
digital and electronic logs then have helped you a lot in ways then not to do the old cowboy way, just so you can see that stuff ahead of time and determine who you want to book with.
Oh yeah, I think it's great. Yeah.
Okay. I
Now-
didn't realize you guys could
Well,
do
also
that.
because if a load were to require teams, you may have carriers that are they got strong solos out there that are cheating the system. But if something were to happen, they get put out of service. Then
That's on them, though.
yeah, but your freight's not getting there.
Yeah, yeah.
So, power only loads. You pick up one of my trailers.
Mm-hmm.
They get put out of service because something's wrong on my trailer. How's that go?
I am getting an interchange agreement with a new power unit, and I would repower it and keep it rolling down the road.
Who also becomes liable for that trailer at that point? If now it's hooked up to you, but it's our trailer, who becomes liable for the trailer?
Well, the new carriers that repowered the trailer.
Like
That's what the interchange agreement would do.
if the trailer blows a tire, are they calling me saying, "Hey, you better get a tire company out here"? That's what I've always wondered. The power only scares me for that exact reason. Like they call you at 2 a.m. We blew.
Yeah, if it was just like a simple blowout, then it would be up to you to pay for a new tire.
Yep. But are they going to take care of it? And then when he gets there,
yes.
he's going to say, "Hey, by the way, you owe me $600 or whatever it was, $900."
Yeah, at that point, I would get the receipt from the truck driver, and then I would just send you the invoice for the payment.
Yeah.
And you could obviously call and verify it or whatever. But
Yeah. Totally fine. It's when they're driving overnight, I'm like, well, what if they calls me at 2 a.m? I got to have my phone on me.
We've had that with a couple of our trailers where we've blown tires just like that. Yeah, same thing. And they'll just call they'll let us know that, hey, we had a problem, but they'll just get it taken care of. They'll call whoever they need to, pilot, whatever that is, have them come change the tire and everything. Then we just get billed for it later.
Yeah, most of them have they call roadside. They can come out and fix it.
Yeah. And they're probably much better at finding a roadside person than me
What
or
you would
someone.
be?
Yeah, well, just they do it every day, so I'm sure they have, they know all the numbers to call to get someone out there.
Oh, I've had to do that so many times where they don't know where to go. If they're in some obscure area to where I'm just on the internet
Googling, yeah.
who can do it, if it's product that's shifted, who can get a forklift over here to reset it or whatever. Yeah, there's a lot of that goes on too.
Yeah. Tent structure stays on the trailer perfect every time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't move at all.
Never.
Especially when they refuse it because it's hanging like 4 inches off or 5 inches off the side and you can't push it anymore. But the next guy will be like, "Oh yeah, it's fine, no big deal. I got this. Just let it hang off."
I can say there is a huge difference depending on what customer or shipper it is. There are people that are obviously very good at loading trucks and people that shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah. Well, it's
sometimes I just want to tell the driver that you load the damn truck then. What do you want me to do? I'm trying. I'm doing everything I can.
And it's everything comes out of the warehouse so perfectly neat and organized, and then on the job site, it's just like, let's get this done as fast as possible. Get home.
Yeah, everybody's trying to get out of there.
Yeah. And the truck was 2 hours late, so like they were just get it on there.
Well,
Trucks are never late, right, Austin?
Never. Nope. I do make all my drivers, whenever they are loaded, whether it's from the warehouse or from the job site, as a rule of thumb, 30 minutes after they pull out to pull over and restrap.
Oh, really?
That stuff will loosen
Move
up
around.
initially and then restrap it and then go.
That's a good idea. I've never heard that. Yeah, there's too many times where you see stuff just shifted and moving around a lot, especially with the aluminum and how it stacks.
Yep.
Never as good as it comes back. Well, Austin, I got some rapid fire questions for you here. Just some fun stuff. What would be a dream truckload? What would be one of the cool projects that you'd like to work on, or something fun that you'd like to have hauled? That say you did.
Oh gosh, it's hard because I'm not the one driving the truck, but a nice yacht for myself, I guess.
Ooh,
There you go.
yeah.
All right. What's the worst type of client? You don't have to be specific to an industry, but what type of client just gets on your nerves?
I guess the ones that don't really understand the industry as a whole.
Yeah,
Honestly,
that don't know how it works. New to using the freight brokering
Kind of hard
industry.
to relate with. That don't really know what they're even asking for, I guess.
What's one of the favorite cities that you like to haul in and out of that you feel like is is the best and easiest?
Oklahoma's pretty easy.
Really?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
No one goes to Oklahoma.
There's good carriers in Oklahoma. Um,
Uh,
certain areas of Texas are good. Georgia, just anywhere where there's really a lot of capacity. I mean, like coming out of like Jacksonville, Florida would be great.
yeah.
So many trucks down there and very little freight, so makes your life easier. You can pick the one you want.
If you weren't a freight broker, what would you be doing, or what would you want to do?
I really like statistics, analytics, so probably something like the movie Moneyball.
That's a good one. What's one piece of advice you'd give our listeners about the business and just the life in the business?
Just communicate, over communicate. I mean, I know I've said that so many times, but it all comes down to communication and planning, and having a good understanding of what you need to have happen, and making sure that the people that are doing it for you are well aware of everything that needs to be done. And then communicate with the shippers, receivers, make sure they know when the trucks are coming in, notify them with any changes, so they can do their planning ahead of time and not last minute.
Got it. Yeah, I think the communication is obviously huge. I know you said it a lot of times, but I feel like that if there's anything that's going to go wrong, it's going to be because of communication. I feel like that's anywhere, but especially with times and how sensitive your guys' stuff is, I feel like if on our end we're not complete with you and don't give you every single thing that you need, I mean, it goes without saying that we're setting everybody up for failure from the start of the job right then and there.
Yeah.
Well, Austin, it's been a good conversation today. Do you have any questions for us, or do you think there's anything that we can do to make your job easier?
For Kyle, I have a question. So my biggest struggle is whenever I'm trying to reach out to new customers.
Yep.
A lot of times you get like the gatekeeper that's going to answer, and they'll push you to the voicemail, right? But if someone like me, I have a lot of experience and I love working with tent and event customers, what is the key to getting set up with a company like yourself?
So I am right place, right time is the wrong way to put it. I like the mail me your business card or something. That's how the broker we used to use. He just mailed me like a box of pens one day, and then I needed something, and I was like, oh, I got his pen right here. I think the easiest way to do is you got to figure out who's booking the actual loads. I don't know what the right answer for that is. It's hard. Like, I personally get inundated with sales calls all the time.
Uh-huh.
I bet I get 20 a day. So half the time I don't answer the phone anymore, just because I feel bad when I'm on the phone, because I was like, well, I don't want to. I trying to do something, I didn't mean to answer this, and then my voicemail box right now has 40 voicemails I haven't listened to in 2 weeks probably. It's so tough, but I would say honestly social media.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't thought about that. But
To go through social media?
Yeah. That's how my Sunbelt guy, that's how he got me. He found me on LinkedIn and then Instagram.
Well, okay, I would say LinkedIn. You are right with LinkedIn. I do get a lot of people that hit me up on LinkedIn for some transportation that will ask what they could do. Man, to jump in on that question, just from being in some points of that, I think that 1, a phone call, 2, an email, and 3, I think the biggest thing is taking somebody to lunch or dinner or even go grab a drink. And I think that opens up the doors. But even to getting to that point, Austin, I think that, if you're jumping in on, social media for LinkedIn or just text and calls or just show up. I mean, I know people don't like being just shown up on, but if you can feel out what time of the year it is, especially like right now while this industry is slow, I feel like this is a good time to start knocking on doors or calling people or, having those conversations for next year, because people are starting to book freight for next year, right? People are starting to put quotes out and everything like that. So if you just go beat down some doors or talk to people in that way and say, hey, I know you're probably using somebody already right now, but if they fail you, let me save the day or let me help you out. Here's my card. If you want a free lunch, let's go have lunch, And I know that you guys do that a lot, and different companies do that a lot. But I think that's a great way to do it.
Well, the other thing is, I would be so like this time of year, I'm not booking much freight.
Right.
My last loads are probably done for the year. But if you called me on April, I might be like, oh well, shit, I got a load in a week. You want to do that? Like, that is probably a better time to get someone when they're busy because they're going to go, oh, I got a load in 2 weeks I haven't covered yet. Do you want to do that? Whereas now, when people are calling, it's like, yeah, well, I'll keep you in touch. I don't even remember what brokerage it was. He was calling me every Monday and Friday, and I was like, you got to leave me alone.
There is a certain.
I'll
there's a
call
certain
you when
corporate
if I
company.
need you. Yeah.
No,
What'd you say, Austin?
I just don't like being a pest like that. I mean,
I know.
I'm
Yeah.
operational minded. I'm not a good salesperson. So I feel like, what am I going to really say that 50 people haven't already said this week?
Yeah.
Well, there's
That's why I'm
one
curious.
specific corporate freight company that calls nonstop, and I finally just had to answer. And I mean, it was really rude, but I just had to do it. You got to make your point. At some point, you got to say, "Stop calling me, damn it." But
Yep.
you know, I think if you just drop your card and drop a line and just say, "Hey," you don't have to be a pest. You can just say, "Hey, if you need me, I'm here. I know if you're using somebody, here's an opportunity to jump in and do it." So I think you do that slow time just to get your name in there. But again, Kyle, like you said, at busy time, you could always jump in because, I mean, there's companies out there, even like us, that, we'll use all of our resources that we have and we still need more, or that person can't get it and this person can get it faster. So, I mean, especially if, Austin, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you have drivers, like you said earlier, that you work with a lot, that you feel like somebody's trying to pick stuff off a board on the freight board and they can't get anything on the freight board, but you have these drivers that that you could just say, hey, run over here and do this. Do you think you can help me out with this? Well, yeah, if you give them enough loads and you're in the background a lot with them, then they're going to help you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Shows
Well,
all.
I like to understand, I like to really understand what the main jobs are. Are you doing a lot of local stuff, or is it cross country? So, if I could get to understand a certain company, like there may be ways that I could really help make things more efficient.
Yeah, I would also suggest like our trade shows. I mean, even that's a perfect place to just buy people a beer.
He was just there.
He was at Metra. I was there.
Yeah. Yep. So
I saw
fun. I think I'm gonna do the ARA this year.
Him and Jim Ryan were
should.
there together.
Yeah.
We can make ARA happen. Come hang out with us. It'll be a good time. We'll be there. Well, Austin, you got anything else for us, buddy?
I don't believe so.
Well, it's been good conversation for us today. I appreciate you coming on and kind of explaining this crazy side of your business, just like ours. But anybody out there that needs a freight broker or needs help with freight, I'm sure Austin will be happy to help. So again, check him out, One Horn Transportation. He'd be happy to do it for you. Kyle, anything else?
That's all I got. I just actually, while we're here, I just got a text that said sweet potato casserole becomes the dessert once it becomes cold.
No, that's not true. It's hot. We can debate this all day, but
I think when it's hot,
yeah,
it's
yeah. When it's hot and it has the marshmallows and the cinnamon, but we can debate that for another day.
Yeah.
So,
I'm going hot.
Austin, thanks for coming on, buddy. Kyle, good to see you. This has been another episode of Under the Vinyl, a rental management media podcast.